Elijah showed up. Right? They said, oh wow, Peter was like, oh man, my God, look at this, man. The veil is real. I can see some stuff I couldn't see before. Then the voice said, hear you him. This is my son of whom I'm well pleased. That's what I'm talking about when I said thieves and robbers. That's why when he was in Matthew 16, he said, who do men say that I am? Some say Elijah, some say Isaiah, or some of the other prophets, thieves and robbers. But he said, oh, and Peter got the revelation, that's the Christ. Man. That too much to think about? Look at this. He said, for the day should come upon thee, that thy enemies should catch a trench about thee. Compass thee round about. Keep thee in on every side. He's talking about AD 70, when the Romans was coming up against them. It started in AD 66. Vespasian and all the boys were coming up against them historically, right? He said, I shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children with thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. We make, you know what? Thank God he visits us through worship, and he's probably visiting us through the message, but I'm just saying. Yeah. I mean, when you come to church, sometimes there's a visitation from the Lord. Yes, sir. That his grace is so extended to you, you can feel his parousia, his presence. Yeah. Right? Am I right? Yeah. And you can sense the dew that comes from his lips. I'm talking about sometimes you use it through ministers, and sometimes you get into worship in your own private spot, but he said, these are the things that are going to happen to you because you don't understand the day of your visitation. And I'm going to talk about it next week. Let me just give you this snippet. The visitation ain't talking about something coming. It ain't talking about signs and wonders. The word speaks of leaders. He was basically saying, if you would receive my leadership, you would understand what's going to happen to you. And you read in there, he said, no stone will be left. There's going to be things encamped around you. Boy, oh boy, oh. Your enemy's going to be around about you. I'm here to tell you, that's why some of us ain't been able to respond to the enemy. Because we haven't understood the day of his visitation. The day of his visitation is when he assigned leadership in the earth. He said, I would have put you underneath my wings. Oh, come on, y'all. Am I right? In another translation, he said, I will gather you as a mother do his hens. He said, I wanted to protect you, but you rejected me. And because you reject me, you will not have a stone upon another. You got to understand, leadership sent from God is so important for your own personal stability. It removes the enemy from your life. Look at it. Verse 42. He said, if you had known in thy day the things which belong unto you. See, there's some things in that day. We want to make a day. It's a certain day, a Kairos day. It's a time that the God has assigned for your life. If you knew in that day, what is the day? The day of visitation. If you had known, if you had responded. But since you didn't, certain things going to be hid from your eyes. You're going to be blind. You're not going to be able to have vision. It said in scriptures, Proverbs 29 and 18, right? It said, talking about vision. When people don't have a vision, what happens? They cast off restraint. They don't want order. They don't want structures. They don't want rules. Just like modern day Jerusalem. They enjoyed the system they were in, even though the system was a master system. Oh, Lord. He said, the days will come upon you that your enemies should cast a trench about you. Anybody ever been in a season where there was a trench around you? Yes, sir. How many know when there's a trench around you, you can't make no moves, you can't grow, you can't expand, you can't enlarge? Why? Because there's a trench around you. You know what a trench is? Everything around a spot. When you put a trench in, it removes all the dust, the dirt. Am I right? It's to cause you to be enslaved. It neutralizes you. And it feels like you got shackles. Feel like you can't go after the things of God. Because we don't recognize the person and people and leadership base that he's assigned to you. talk about it next week. I'm trying to be true to myself here. But I'm going to show you what biblical leaders look like. I ain't going to talk about people who just want a position. I mean, if that church thinks about it, it use me. It's a reason why. It's a reason why. I'm sorry. It is. It's a reason why. What I'm looking for. I'm looking for what's in here. I take my duties seriously. And one of the things, if a person can't pay the price I'm paying, you can't be in leadership. That's easy. Father, we bless you for the word. We want to build correctly. It says that except the Lord builds the house, our labor is in vain. We don't want to have a vain life. We don't want our life to be constructed with the wood, hay, and stubble. We want our house, our lives, our ministry, who we are as a people, our marriages, our businesses, everything. Father, we need the, not the wood, hay, and the stubble, but we need the gold, silver, and the precious stones. We know that there's things that happen in life that comes to try our foundation to see if it is God. We want to be able to endure that day. We want to comply with your word, your spirit. We want to build according to the pattern. There's a pattern from Genesis to Revelation. All through it is it's a tapestry, things that we can incorporate in our life.